Have you ever loved someone so much that you would sacrifice everything for them? Imagine raising your son with your own hands, working overtime, missing meals, selling your dreams so he could live his. Then one night he looks you in the eyes and says, "Get out of this house. My wife does not want you here. Be gone by morning." I did not argue. I did not cry. I packed one small bag and quietly walked away. They thought they had won. They had no idea I was leaving with a secret worth $12 million. What happened 1 week later changed every single one of our lives forever. Stay until the end because the final letter I left behind made my son realize that money can never replace a father's love. I still remember the day my son was born. I held him in my arms and promised that no matter what happened I would always protect him. His mother passed away when he was only 7 years old. From that moment I became both father and mother. Every morning I woke before sunrise and every night I came home exhausted. I worked 2 jobs just to make sure he never felt the emptiness that losing his mother had left behind. There were birthdays when I could only afford a homemade cake. There were winters when I wore the same old coat because buying him a new one mattered more. I never complained because every sacrifice felt worthwhile when I saw him smile. Years passed. He graduated from college with honors. I cried with pride as I watched him walk across the stage. I believed all those difficult years had finally paid off. Soon he met a beautiful young woman. She was charming and polite during the first few meetings. I welcomed her into our family with an open heart. When they married, I even transferred ownership of my home into my son's name because I wanted him to feel secure. I thought that was what a loving father should do. At first everything seemed normal, but little by little the atmosphere changed. My daughter-in-law stopped speaking to me. She complained that I was always around. She disliked the stories I told at dinner. She said I made guests uncomfortable. My son slowly became distant. Conversations became shorter. Meals became silent. The laughter that once filled our home disappeared. Then came the night that changed everything. After dinner, my son stood in front of me with his wife beside him. She folded her arms and smiled, as if she already knew how this conversation would end. My son took a deep breath and said, "Dad, you need to leave. My wife does not feel comfortable having you here anymore. Pack your things and be gone by morning." For a moment I could not believe what I had heard. I looked at the boy I had raised, the boy whose tears I had wiped away, the boy for whom I had sacrificed my youth. I wanted to ask why. I wanted to remind him of everything we had been through. Instead, I simply nodded. That night I packed one suitcase. I left behind family photographs. I left behind furniture I had bought with years of hard work. I left behind memories. Before sunrise, I quietly walked out the front door without waking anyone. They thought I was defeated. They had no idea that 1 week earlier I had received a phone call that would change my future forever. Many years ago, before my wife died, we invested a small amount of money into a struggling technology company. Everyone laughed at us. Most people believed we had wasted our savings. We forgot about the investment. Until 1 week before I was thrown out, the company had become one of the fastest growing businesses in the country. My forgotten shares were now worth over $12 million. The lawyer handling everything advised me to remain silent until all legal paperwork was complete. So I did. After leaving the house, I checked into a small hotel. I bought nothing expensive. I told no one about the money. 1 week later, the transfer was completed. For the first time in decades, I was financially free. I purchased a quiet home near a peaceful lake. I donated money to children's hospitals. I helped elderly people who had been abandoned by their families. Then I wrote one final letter. "Dear son, when you told me to leave, I realized something important. I spent my entire life giving you everything except the opportunity to appreciate what you had. I forgive you because carrying anger only destroys the person who holds it. I am leaving not because I hate you but because I finally choose to respect myself. Do not search for me because I need peace more than I need another apology. Money gave me comfort, but losing your respect taught me the greatest lesson of my life. Take care of your family. I hope one day you become the father I believed you could be. Goodbye." I mailed the letter. 3 days later, my phone rang over and over. I never answered. Neighbors later told me my son had read the letter and cried for hours. He drove to every place he thought I might be. He asked relatives if anyone had seen me. For the first time, he understood that the greatest loss was never the money. It was the father who had loved him without conditions. Months later, I heard that his marriage was falling apart. The woman who wanted me gone eventually left him as well. He was alone, exactly where he had forced me to be. One afternoon, I saw him sitting outside my new house. He looked older. His shoulders were heavy with regret. When he saw me, he stood silently. Then he said only one sentence. "Dad, I am sorry." I smiled. Forgiveness does not erase pain, but it allows your heart to move forward. I invited him inside. We drank tea together in silence. There were no speeches, no dramatic moments, just two people trying to rebuild what pride had almost destroyed. That day I realized that true wealth is not measured by millions of dollars. It is measured by the ability to forgive without forgetting the lessons that made you stronger. Sometimes life removes people from your path so you can discover your true value. Never allow anyone to convince you that your kindness is weakness. Respect yourself, protect your peace, forgive when you are ready, and remember that the greatest inheritance any parent can leave is not money but character.